Right, before she gets to the top, bit of brinksmanship here. Wednesday. It's a rather mild evening in the garage, and as promised, I've got a grain to glass for you of the mighty Supercharger. So yeah, I'll show you a few clips on how I compose this beast. Of course, this is the Paul Wicksteed recipe, a rather simple recipe. Gladfields malts and a really nice American hop addition. Cheers guys, I'll see you at the back end for a tasting. Alright, false bottom fitted, and she's all sanitized. So I'm going to put in about 5.5 kilos of grain, which is American ale. There's 5 kilo of that, 250 grams of toffee malt, and another 150 I think of light crystal, all Gladfields. Yes, I really need to sort out my, I've got a monster mill, and I'm really happy with it, but you do get the odd grain getting through because the adapter plate, I made it up rather than buying the kit, so my fabrication skills have kind of left a little gap around the side so it can actually get past the roller. That's only on the initial kind of fill up, so I reckon I'll probably get about 50 grams or so of uncrushed grain, so I just compensate, but that's something I need to get onto. And 14 or 15 litres of water, and we're underleading that so that we can force all the air through the grain bed, and we'll give that a mash, and then of course we've got to top that HLT back up, so we'll just leave that stewing for a bit, or mashing I should say, and fill up the HLT, then we can look at recircing. So she's all doughed in, and I'm not too far off where I want it to be, within a degree. I'll try and mash at 66. So she's pretty thick at the moment, but that should settle down. I'm normally left with about 20 mils of water on top. I'd like to go as thick as I can without it getting stuck, but I have found it gets too stuck if I run a real low ratio of water, so I'm basically 3 to 1 to get that recircling properly. Anyway, get the bloody lid on, you're letting the heat out. So I'm just doing a batch sparge or something like that initially. I've got rid of most of that wort, transfer that over the boil kettle just to get that boiling. Ooh, steamy. Just so I can get a bit of a head start. And this should be set up from last time. I haven't changed that angle on that clamp, so it should be good to go. We'll get some of that water in there, which is just under 80 degrees. Try and keep the tannins out, and we'll get sparging. Probably do about a half an hour to 40-minute sparge, and then get our target volume. And I'll take a few readings along the way. Still haven't got around to putting some sort of measuring scale on the boil kettle. Hopefully you can see that, just the protein in that wort making its way across to the boil kettle. Just a really nice slow flow, low and slow, and it was starting to almost boil on the way through there, and I've just got that sparge on there. You can see occasionally I'll get the old bubble when it's kind of clamping on and off. So yeah, I've done a video on this before, but it's the same principle as a trough, or basically a toilet. When the level rises, locks off that piston. When it goes down, more sparge water comes out. And yeah, the trick is to just set it so you can rinse the grains nicely without, if you do it too fast, you'll get no sugar out and you'll start extracting a little bit of the tannins if you've got the water too hot, but I've kept that under 80 degrees. So yeah, I've probably had it a little bit too slow, so the only thing to adjust is that ball valve, and probably just back off the pressure off the other ball valve, but I was just feeding it over a little bit too slow, so I ended up basically getting to a boil. So I've increased that flow a bit more, and we'll transfer some more water over to the volume we need. Still another little bit to go. Anyway, I'll chuck me kettle additions in, which are pretty much exactly the same as my mash water. So we're going to end up with about just over 30 litres. So an easy way is I've halved my water additions. So I've got half for the mash, half for the kettle, and they're exactly the same volumes. Right, before she gets to the top, bit of brinksmanship here. I'll go and turn off the element. She should settle down. More shrinkage than a cold day at the beach. And once that's settled down, I could stir a hole through it, but it's going to turn the element back on. And then hopefully that's given me big hop break hole. It's good to prep hops the night before. Right. In goes 10 grams of Pacific Jade. So just getting ready for the last couple of additions. Pretty self-explanatory. Basically an ounce of Amarillo and Simcoe, 3/4 of an ounce or 19 grams of Centennial, 10 minutes. And yeah, the same for the whirlpool, which I'll do just below 80 degrees, somewhere between sort of 80 and 75. And yeah, got a bit of yeast nutrient and the old faithful Iris. Is that Iris? Hello Iris. Irish moss for some clarity. It smells divine. And in it goes. Nice big 10-minute addition to complement that minute 10 gram bittering addition at 60 minutes. Okay, so I stopped about 81 and just that residual kind of cooling has dropped it down past 80, which is good. So, or below 80 I should say. So in goes our whirlpool addition. So that should in the next minute or so be mid 70s, which is what I want. And we're going to whirlpool that back. So 22.6, I'm using quite a bit more water, but that's going straight into the fermenter at pitchable temps. And just a quick look at my water consumption. You've got all these, so those are about 50 litres, so you've probably got close to 200 litres. Luckily I'm on tank water, so I'm just using a bit of power. But I'm quite thirsty, but that'll all go on the fruit trees. So the first thing that strikes me, I've brewed this recipe probably about, I think this is the 3rd incarnation. I have deviated a little bit from the original, and that's because I used some US04 yeast, yeah, as opposed to American style ale yeast. But as you can see there, she's pretty damn clear. And the main reason for that is that I have used a bit of gelatin. I had a bit of a clean up in the cupboard over the holidays, putting in my new kitchen, and found some old gelatin in the pantry. So pretty much, I forget the ratio, but pretty much like a teaspoon of gelatin, a little bit of water, chuck that in the keg, and it just cleared up within less than 24 hours. And yeah, been talking to a few people. Gelatin can apparently, in some cases, maybe strip out a bit of the aroma. Yeah, but if you're wanting clarity, go and do it. Don't worry about putting a bit of pig hoof in your supercharger. In fact, I was suggested that I call this the cow hoofer supercharger clone. But anyway, cheers guys. Let's get a nose on it. This is probably, I think it's been in the keg for at least 2 months, so straight away it's cold. It's just come off the tap, and yeah, it's an old beer, oldish, but I am getting a little bit of that Amarillo, which I think is the star hop in this beer, and yeah, I'm definitely getting some Amarillo on the nose. And maybe a tiny bit of dankness. As I've already said, I'm yet to get a beer that I'm truly happy with a good piney, resiny note, but I think there's a little bit of that there. A little bit of sweetness, not a hell of a lot of malt. But yeah, there was some really good aroma when this first came out of the keg. But it sort of had a little bit of the bitterness to match. I've been drinking this beer very slowly over the last month or so, and yeah, it's definitely getting better with age, but not the aroma. But yeah, anyway, let's get a taste on it. Yeah, so if you subscribe to anyone, you will subscribe to Tube Dino's. He did a side by side with Aidan from 1490 Brewing's Supercharger and the real Panhead Supercharger, and yeah, he said that mine was quite hoppy, Aidan's was quite malty, and the real thing was kind of like somewhere in between. So I guess that's one thing that's probably lacking from this taste, is I'd like a little bit more sweetness from the malt. For the sake of using toffee malt, I'm not really happy that this has got a big enough kind of caramel toffee note in it. In saying that though, this has got to be one of the cleanest beers that I've brewed. I'm not getting too much of that kind of, I would call it like a, I heard Luke say it, like a corn chip kind of yeast note. I'm not getting any of that. That's been a fault in past beers. I'm not getting a huge amount of bitterness. In fact, from memory, I knocked back the Pacific Jade bittering edition, just to compensate for a big dry hop, which I don't care what people say, dry hopping adds bitterness. Controversial, I don't care, I've tasted it. Yeah, so I dialed back a little bit of the bitterness, and I think that definitely helped. Super clean. It's got some good citrus, because there is a little bit of citra in there, and the Amarillo is just a really nice hop. I'm bloody happy with this beer. I'm not happy that it's an exact replica of the Supercharger. I defy anyone to produce an exact replica of the Supercharger. It's such a fantastic beer. It's got all those commercial brewing secrets. I'd be buggered if I can ever brew one as good as the original. But it is my cleanest pale that I've ever brewed. It's not got a big yeast character. It's not got a lingering bitterness that just detracts from it. It's got some real big juice in it. It's got a little bit of malt, which, as I said, can be boosted a bit more. But it's a super quaffable beer. I've had a few people try it, and they've been really happy with it. And yeah, a little bit light on the colour there. The original was a little bit more darker, so I think I just used light crystal in that toffee. I think I'd probably chuck a little bit of medium crystal in there, just to whack that up. I think carbonation is spot on. I haven't overdone that, I haven't force carbed it. It's a really good beer. I don't like to blow smoke up my own ass, and you know, us Kiwis, tall poppy syndrome, we don't like to talk up our accomplishments, but I'm really happy with that as a beer. I think a little bit of time in the keg has done it good. Not for the aroma, but definitely for the taste, and getting towards a bit more of a balanced beer. I've been doing some real big fruity bombs recently that you know, they're not a standard kind of pale ale that you would get if you were to order one. They're just big fruit bombs. This is somewhere in between. Could be maltier. I'd give it a pass, and I'm bloody happy with it. So anyway, cheers guys, thanks for your support, and I've got a few more brew days coming up. I've just done a Yakima Scarlet, and yeah, I think I might just do a few more tastings of my own beers, which I've been a little bit remiss in showing. Thanks for your support, cheers for supporting the Floor Sweepers Union, and if you want a t-shirt, I might be doing a bit of a run of those in a month or so. If you want one, they're going to cost me $20 New Zealand wholesale. So if you are interested, let me know and we can sort something out. And of course, if you furnish me with some beer mail from overseas, you might get one as a bit of packaging. Cheers guys. Cheers to Paul Whitsley.